Hello, good evening and welcome to Business Life. In this bulletin, economist Professor Patrick Esuming has called on government to improve the living conditions of individuals and businesses despite Ghana passing the third review under the fund program. He argues, although the country has remained disciplined under the IMF program, government has failed to provide a clear strategy of how it intends to improve the living conditions of citizens and businesses in the long term. He spoke earlier on Business Life.
So in the immediate term, what this means is that we are just one step away from concluding the third review, and so it's now available to go to the IMF board.
Yeah.
And once it's approved, then the next 300 million or so will be released. And of course, in terms of what we said we would do in the program, we are making that progress. But I think the long term, though, is where we are not seeing much happening. I think in terms of improvement in real living conditions of Ghanaians. So I think what we have to understand is that the IMF will focus on the macro indicators. Now, sometimes those improvements do not necessarily translate into real improvement in the business conditions as well as households' living conditions.
Now, President Akufo-Addo has reiterated the need for building digital infrastructure across Africa in a manner that will spur on financial inclusion and broader cross-border trading. According to the president, this will be one of the surest ways of effectively rolling out the African Continental Free Trade Area, which aims to create a market of 1.3 billion people with a combined GDP of an estimated $3.4 million. There is more in this report.
The Protocol on Digital Trade, initiated by the African Continental Free Trade Area, was adopted earlier this year by the African Union. However, making cross-border digital payments across the continent remains a challenge for traders who intend to leverage the AfCFTA. Speaking at the Forward Africa Leaders Symposium in New York, President Akufo-Addo reiterated the need for building digital infrastructure across Africa in a manner that will boost the implementation of the free trade area.
For the AfCFTA to succeed, we must all commit to building the digital infrastructure that will support the transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, as we move forward, central banks and regulators will play a crucial and increasingly crucial role in shaping the future of our digital economy. It is not simply enough to regulate the financial sector. We must actively support its digital transformation. This means making sure that digital payment systems are interoperable across borders, allowing for seamless financial transactions between nations. It means creating the right regulatory frameworks that protect consumers while encouraging innovation.
Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat, Wamkele Mene, also touched on the latest protocol on digital trade, as he believes the framework has created an environment where data in Africa can be commercialized.
And so the AfCFTA protocol on digital trade has now created a regulatory environment where Africa's data can be commercialized in Africa, managed, processed in Africa. And this is a very important step forward because it enables our companies, our investors, our commercial banks, it enables them to move data across the African continent, the 48 countries that are state parties to the agreement establishing the AfCFTA. This becomes a single digital market for investors, for MTN, for EcoBank, for United Bank of Africa. All of our financial institutions are now in a position to commercialize data, move it across borders with no restrictions to the extent that there are no national security questions involved, but purely for the purpose of commercialization of data. This is a critical point from the perspective of Africa's political economy.
The African Continental Free Trade Area is scheduled to host a summit for private sector players and member states of the Free Trade Area in a bid to show up investments in Africa. Blaise Ogan's report for Joy News.
General Manager of Venture Capital Trust Fund, Percival Ofori-Ampoma, is asking small and medium enterprises to build financial trustworthiness to attract sustained financing from financial institutions to grow their businesses. He spoke to Joy Business on the sidelines of the Ghana Digital and Innovation Week.
Some of the problems are actually getting access to the VC fund manager itself. If you are not participating in networking, in conferences of this nature, you don't know Venture Capital Trust Fund, you have no access to, for example, the internet. I know everybody does now. But if you are not doing those kinds of things, the first thing is you are not even sitting in front of Eric or sitting in front of any of my fund managers. That's the first challenge. The second is mindset. We've been on this road for quite some time, and we know that entrepreneurs in this part of the world have a different mindset towards funding. Now it is changing, but the understanding that we are in partnership together, that the company, even though you started, even though you call yourself the founder, once I bring money into the company, they say cash is king. And so once I bring money, I am entitled to certain rights, certain privileges, access to information. And let me say this, I'm entitled to honesty.
More from the Digital Center. The Chief Executive of Telecel Ghana, Patricia Obunai, is urging entrepreneurs and innovators in Ghana in the Ghana's digital space to prioritize collaboration and partnerships to accelerate the growth and development of the sector. Speaking on the sidelines of the Ghana Digital and Innovation Week in Accra, Madam Obunai emphasized the significance of collaboration for the sector's sustainable growth and development.
To research by the Africa Center for Economic Transformation, Ghana's digital economy is currently valued at approximately $1 billion and is projected to reach $5 billion by 2030. This was a key topic of discussion at the Ghana Digital and Innovation Week 2024, themed Innovate Together, Collaborating for Digital Transformation and Impact. The CEO of Telecel Ghana, Patricia Obunai, emphasized the significance of collaboration for the sector's sustainable growth and development.
I believe that you going out to look for employment is one, but what I would love from what we are seeing here today is that the youth come together and drive the startups. So the big organizations should not just look at recruiting them as employees. I think we should seek to empower them to say silo mentality is no longer sustainable. Don't say that my idea is for me alone and that's what is driving competitive advantage. Actually, if you partner with somebody, if you come together with somebody, you're able to share, you're able to bring out a bigger product to the market, and you can lead from that approach alone. So collaborating, innovating together is the way to go.
Head of Development Cooperation at the German Embassy, Franziska Jebens, highlighted Germany's commitment to investing in Ghana's digital economy.
Overall, in the space of digitization, Ghana has been committed 20 million euros by Germany too. And some of the projects are focusing on, for instance, e-commerce. Others, like the Make IT, for instance, are pretty much focusing on fostering the entrepreneurial activities, not only by women, but also like focusing on women in order to support the reduction of inequalities also and equity in the sector.
Director of Innovation at the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, David Ofori, advocated for the adoption of indigenous innovations.
We have a lot of young people saying, well, I don't have a job and all of that. How can we solve that? It's through innovation. And so letting Ghanaians know that there's a different way of looking at things now, different way of doing things now, where we can now sustain what we are doing. It's indigenous innovation, not trying to borrow innovation from the West or from another country, but it's what we do here, but how are the different ways you can do it better so that it's more sustainable, protecting our environment, but also drives the growth, the economic growth that we need as a people.
The Ghana Digital Innovation Week celebrates the milestones achieved by various innovators and government policy actions. The event also serves as an opportunity to observe, assess, and evaluate our national readiness to participate in the digital economy.
As part of efforts to achieve a cashless economy and drive financial inclusion, Mobile Money Ghana Limited has launched the Cashless Market. The maiden edition will present patrons with a one-stop shop located near the Accra Mall for a variety of items of their choice. Addressing the media, Sylvia Otue-Champon, Chief Product and Services Manager at Mobile Money Limited, explained that the company will continue to develop innovative solutions to serve the needs of the unbanked population. More in this report.
We feel mobile money has matured to a point where we could do that. This is the first, our maiden edition, so it's the first time we are trying it out. We are very grateful to have all partners within the ecosystem come on board to really support this initiative. So it was really born out of the zeal and the quest to really run a cashless society, mainly that. This is it. When we say financial inclusion, somebody will say, but I'm not coming to Accra Mall. How do you include me? There are other ways that we can include customers. For instance, people can access loans, people can access insurance, you can actually do investment, people are buying T-bills on Momo. So these are all the avenues for which we are including those that are unbanked into the whole digital ecosystem to trade. When you receive money from somebody from abroad, you are included because now you have money in your Momo wallet and you can use it, transact or cash it out. So these are some of the steps that we are taking to sort of expand the ecosystem. The Momo Pay, which is where customers can pay with Momo, is not as popular as transferring money. So we want to bring Momo Pay to the same scale or the same level as a P2P transaction. So we will continue with the whole celebration till the end of the year. But this particular cashless market started yesterday and it will end on Sunday. So we want to encourage everybody to participate in this. Just come and see what is there and try and use Momo. We are here to register people that are not yet on, and we are here to load wallets for those that do not have Momo or eCash on their Momo as well. So we are really open to do business with everybody.
A reminder, you're still watching Prime Business with me, Pius Kojo Baka. And to some other stories, the Chartered Institute of Bankers, Ghana, is celebrating its 2024 Bankers Week, which starts tomorrow with a health walk and screening. The theme for this year's celebration is resilience in the financial system, managing horizon risk. Now, the Institute's mission over the years has been to fully develop the academic and professional potential of practitioners in the financial services sector. Joining me in studio now is Robert Jatto, the Chief Executive Officer of the Institute of Bankers. Robert, thanks so much for joining me on Prime Business. Good to see you once again.
It's great to see you as well.
So, first off, tell us who the Institute of Bankers are, first off.
Well, thank you. Chartered Institute of Bankers Ghana is mandated by the Act of Parliament, Chartered Institute of Bankers Act 2019, Act 991, to promote banking education and regulate the practice of banking profession in Ghana. Practically, what does that mean? It means developing trusted professionals for our financial services sector. It means putting ethics high on the agenda of banks and bankers, and that's what we've been pursuing over the years.
Great. So ahead of tomorrow, tell me, Bankers Week, what's it about?
Well, it's actually the National Banking and Ethics Week, and we put in a sharp focus on ethics. This is our 28th week, by the way. So we've been celebrating this for over 28 years.
I see.
And so the 2024 one is under the theme, Resilience in the Financial Sector, Navigating Horizon Risks. And there are quite a number of events that we've lined up, starting tomorrow with a health walk at 6 a.m. And I invite you to join us.
That's fine.
We have our fellows, members, and other stakeholders joining us tomorrow to burn some calories. But we also have other events coming up post tomorrow.
All right. So hold on with that for me. But tomorrow, where do you start from and where do we end?
Sure. At 6 a.m. tomorrow, we start at Chartered Institute of Bankers in East Legon, Bauleshi. Precisely, and then we do about 10 kilometers thereabout, and we come back to that speed. About 9 o'clock we should be done, but we also have some health screening, but we also have aerobics, and of course there are other things that we've planned for tomorrow. Come, and you have some surprise.
Is it free for all?
Of course, it's free. It's specifically designed to you know, if we think about ESG, environmental, social, and governance, the S element, we must be healthy as bankers, right? To do our work well, and you know, so It's for bankers, it's for members of the institute, but also extended to the general public.
I know you'll be rolling out great events coming up, so walk us through some of them.
Sure. So beyond tomorrow, which is the health walk, which we've dubbed Walk for Life, Walk for Life. We also have financial literacy across secondary schools in this country, starting the whole of this month, October, till the end of the month. In between, we have what we call the Banking and Ethics Challenge, and we bring a number of universities together to really put the conversation around financial literacy, but also ethics and banking at the forefront. And then, of course, we have our National Banking and Ethics Conference, which is happening in November. And then we have the Governors Day. We'll also do some graduation and induction of newly qualified bankers this year.
All right. So ultimately, what is the end game?
Well, the end game is, where we are as a country and as an industry. Of course, our industry has been doing well in terms of growth and the numbers. But what is around the corner? What's next? We've seen banking sector, we've seen, cleanup, we've seen DDP, we've seen COVID. Navigating horizon risk is important in terms of how do we as bankers manage the risk that we see in the horizon? How do we, of course, take advantage of any opportunities, but also minimize and mitigate our risks as much as possible? For us, that's exciting prospect, and that's why the conference theme is very much resilience. Of course, we have some resilience in the banking sector. How do we even build that and make it stronger, but also managing our risk very tightly? At the core of that is really trusted professionals, and that's where we come in as Chartered Institute of Bankers Ghana.
Great. Thank you so much, Robert, for joining me on Prime Business, I should say.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. Good to see you. All right, so you're still watching Prime Business. Before we go, British carrier Virgin Atlantic has cited Ghana's economic recovery and favorable outlook as a major reason for returning to daily flights to Accra. The airline last month announced resumption of scheduled flights to Accra from May 1 after halting its services in September 2013. Speaking to my colleague George Yafi, Chief Financial Officer of Virgin Atlantic, Johar Javin, said the current environment will offer some good returns on our operations.
One, of course, is the Ghanaian economy and how that has developed over time. When it comes to the operation itself, we have a next generation aircraft. We have renewed our fleet, which is considerably younger and more efficient. And also now when we have grown our fleet, we have an opportunity to utilize our incoming new aircrafts and the portfolio to start flying to Accra. And I think inbound tourism is probably the best number to give. If the growth rate over the previous year into Ghana has grown by 50% when it comes to inbound tourism. It's one concrete example of how quickly the Ghanaian opportunity has improved. And for us, we continue developing not only in the UK but also in the US, how to make sure that more people will travel with Virgin Atlantic and with our partners Delta into Accra. And that's why we feel it's the right time.
You raised concerns about the cost of fuel as well. And if I write again, just to refer back to that release that you put out as well, has it also improved now that you won't come again? And the concern for a lot of Ghanaians now is that whether Virgin Atlantic wouldn't come in again, and the next thing we'll see, there's another press release from Virgin Atlantic that, listen, based on XYZ, we're going back.
No, we believe that the route deserves competition. Currently, there's only one airline flying the route. We believe it's the right time to re-enter. I was in Nigeria yesterday. We operated that for 23 years. We believe that there's a future for us in Ghana, and we believe that starting in May 2025 is the right time.
Let's look at the time slots and whether it's a concern, because there were some people who thought that for those who were flying from Accra to London, the time slot wasn't good. Is there any possible review of the time slots when you start in May, or you're still going to stick with your old time slots that you used to work previously when you were flying from London, Accra, London?
We're going to have a very attractive schedule. We're going to leave Accra in the morning at 9:15. So I believe it's later than we used to operate previously. So it has a very good schedule for the local traffic. And equally so, it connects perfectly to our services to New York in the evening. We believe roughly 90% of the passengers on the route will be to London, and then the remaining 10% connecting to New York. What has also changed since the last time that we are in a very close cooperation with Delta. Delta flies to Accra non-stop, so the passengers can combine the Virgin Atlantic flights via London to the Delta services directly to Accra. So there's much more combinability options, plus the schedule is better than we had before. So 9:15 a.m. departure.
And that's it for the bulletin. I am Pius Koju Baka. Prime Sports is next.
Into Accra from London.